The small town of South Park, Colorado is protesting against the president. The townspeople claim that the president, who is a great man.
A great man.
Great guy. We know he's probably watching, and we are just reporting on this town.
On CNN's explosive segment, the fallout from South Park's latest episode has stirred a fierce cultural and political clash. With a $1.5 billion Paramount deal on the line, the show takes shots at media bias and political correctness. Meanwhile, the Trump White House dismisses the satire but pressures media companies like never before. Let's break this down.
In Colorado that's being sued by the president, and they are fighting back.
And just to be clear, we don't agree with him.
Bit of a shot there at 60 Minutes. South Park season premiere was one for the history books. That episode aired one day before the FCC finally approved the Paramount Skydance merger that has seen lawsuits settled and shows canceled. As for President Trump's opinion on that particular South Park episode,
I've never watched South Park. I don't know anything about South Park. I never watched it. South Park.
a White House statement says the show's popularity has hit record lows. In fact, South Park is proving to be a very valuable asset as Paramount inked a $1.5 billion deal, to exclusively air South Park on its streaming channel.
The bottom line, money talks louder than politics. South Park thrives as a cash cow, allowing it to push controversial takes even as power brokers try to silence dissent.
The creators had this to say about that first episode.
Did you anticipate the reaction today? Have you been following it? What do you make of it?
We're terribly sorry.
Sincerity meter trending towards the low side. My panel back with me now. Brian, I wonder if this is a battle the president actually wants. I mean, South Park, listen, it's irreverent. Sometimes it's too dirty. I don't particularly love my kids watching it, given the language used, but they're taking shots and they're landing.
Yeah, but the president just dismissed him. He doesn't know who South Park is. He doesn't watch it. I think
he knows enough to be talking about it, right?
Oh, he was asked about it, but yeah, he can be dismissive of all these things. I think what we've learned over the years, and Steve Colbert is the best example, that when you hate half the country, like Steve Colbert did, and these comedians, they literally hate half the country, their comedy's not that funny. And so you might get some people that are going to laugh at it, a small percentage, but the end result is you will get canceled if you're not that funny.
But is that really the...
This highlights the high-stakes culture war. Mockery and satire used as weapons can boost or destroy careers. South Park's edge saves it. Others vanish amid cancel culture.
Issue there, I mean, listen, the president, I think we could say, has thin skin, right? And jokes that used to be leveled at presidents, sometimes irreverent, they just say, forget about it. He doesn't, right? And almost makes them bigger than what they would be otherwise.
Yeah, and the president also used to be a staple of The Late Show. When it was David Letterman, he was he was frequently on. He was somebody who really esteemed it. The franchise has grown less favorable to him since he was in office the first time and the second. But the reality is this: the economics are why Colbert is not on the air anymore. And I say that as a huge fan of his for many years. It was a show that was losing reportedly $40 million. They were in the Ed Sullivan Theater, iconic, incredibly expensive. Whereas South Park, the LA Times says, is one of the most lucrative television series in the world. This $1.5 billion deal that Paramount inked, you can get away with a lot if you're making money for your shareholders, and that's what South Park's doing.
And particularly in streaming, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where all the attention is in the stock market, and South Park certainly has a following there. I suppose the bigger concern, right, is what other consequences there are for media coverage in general, and that's a concern. That's actually what South Park was taking a shot at 60 Minutes there, right? Molly Ball saying, talking about the various compromises perhaps CBS has had to make as this Skydance deal was there. I mean, it's not just really about a satirical cartoon that we're talking about.
Sure. I mean, to me, this is not about whether or not South Park is getting under Donald Trump's skin, because as Brian said, he brushes it off, and plenty of people have made fun of Donald Trump over the years. To me, it's again about the way that this scandal has penetrated the broader culture and the way it has become a real pop cultural phenomenon and the way it's being talked about by people who don't care about politics, right? South Park is not primarily a political show, and it's certainly not primarily a left-wing show. It's a show that skewers people across the spectrum, and particularly the idea of political correctness.
Yeah.
And so for them to be sort of bringing these issues on stage, whether it's the media issue or the Epstein scandal, I think shows the degree to which all of this has a resonance that is outside of the traditional audience for this show, frankly.
Yeah. South Park isn't just irreverent comedy, it's a megaphone calling out media corruption and elite scandals that ripple far beyond politics, striking a nerve in society as a whole.
Well, listen, I mean, there are first of all, South Park seems to be important enough to Paramount that it's willing to pay $1.5 billion and perhaps keep it on the air. Though I suppose that could change tomorrow. But let's look at what else Skydance agreed to in getting this merger approved. Comprehensive review of CBS, install an ombudsman for complaints of bias, make changes to ensure viewpoint diversity, and eliminate all DEI policies at Paramount. I mean, the DEI piece is something we've seen across the board, right? Pressure on universities, for instance, law firms, and now a major media group here. What's your reaction to see that kind of price paid, in effect, for a merger?
Yeah, I mean, I'm old enough to remember the days when Republicans used to attack Barack Obama for being the imperial presidency, right? He doesn't hold a candle to what we're seeing from the Trump administration now, and their willingness to pull the levers of power to influence every single aspect of our society, to make corporate boardroom decisions when used to be conservatives, good conservatives said we should stay out of the boardroom, to make academic freedom decisions, and doing it in a way that so many companies, so many institutions feel like they have no choice but to bend the knee. And that puts us in a very dangerous problem. But I think Molly's point is right. This is the first time we have seen that be successfully challenged with this story around Epstein. Donald Trump is a master at changing the subject whenever he wants. And he cannot change the subject on this. No matter how hard he tries, it is penetrating every aspect of our society. Whether or not, he and his team finally find a way to turn the corner, I don't know, but it's the first time I've seen them look shaky in 10 years.
Brian, let me ask you this, though. The politics behind this kind of pressure, I understand. It's there, and the president's arguably fulfilling his campaign promises. But for the business-friendly Republican Party, is this the kind of interference? I mean, this is a business deal. It's a merger for business reasons because they believe they could grow shareholder value, right, et cetera. But DEI, viewpoint diversity, comprehensive review of CBS News, which is it's a storied, certainly 60 Minutes, a storied brand. Is that the kind of interference you want to see as a Republican in business deals, transactions?
No, I mean, of course not. But I think what you're seeing is this administration exercise muscle in a way no administration has ever done before.
Is it good, though?
I think in the long run we'll find out. I mean, let's look what they're trying to do. They're trying to end affirmative action in universities. I'm from California. We ended affirmative action nearly 30 years ago, and the universities seemed to thrive. So yes, ending affirmative action as a corporate policy is probably a good thing. The other thing is look what they're doing to CBS, trying to add diversity of thought. Right now, if you watch, I mean, I don't watch broadcast television because as a conservative, I'm turned off by there. I only watch cable. That and streaming. Yeah. But there's clearly a gap there in mainstream television that excludes conservatives when you're watching the primetime channels. That this administration thought it's important that there's diversity of things. Those things aren't bad. The news, listen. This network, a lot of networks, they've been guilty of exaggerating the truth on President Trump over the years. They've been wrong many of times. Some people have never been reprimanded for being wrong. And I don't think there's anything wrong with holding the media accountable when they're wrong. And that's what you're going to see in these types of things. And it's not attacking freedom of speech or freedom of press when you tell them they're wrong.
This segment peels back how South Park survives as both a cultural disruptor and a prized media asset amid the Trump administration's unprecedented media pressure, FCC involvement, and challenges to DEI policies. It's a stark look at how power plays with free speech and corporate interests collide. What do you think? Is this corporate muscle flexing or a fight for genuine viewpoint diversity? Drop your take below and stay tuned.